Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC 287 Pereira versus Adesanya 2. This fight card actually delivered. This was a top to bottom, a very good card, and I feel really happy about just the way it ended, just the fights in between. It was a really good fight card. Obviously, I'm scoring this late because I had work, but I'm I'm just really happy. I'm really happy. It felt so. I don't know what to say. It just felt so cool. Like it's once in a while where I feel complete. I feel overall complete watching a fight night, watching a pay-per-view, and I feel happy with the ending. I don't hate Pereira. That's not mainly the point. It's just a good feeling when it's a weird good feeling when the champion gets his belt back, or when the challenger, former champion, gets his belt back. A lot of fights on the card ended in a really cool fashion. But then I looked at the scorecards, and I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say because I'll talk about fights, right? I'm not the person that talks about the fights, but looking at these scorecards, I don't know how to feel. And we're going to get to it because I've scanned the scorecards a little bit and they're a little wonky. It makes no sense. I'm watching it on TV and I'm looking at these scorecards and I'm just thinking to myself, what are these people scoring? At a certain point, these people have to get slapped. I'm joking. Let's just get to the scorecards, and then we'll talk about the fights. Not all the fights individually, but whatever piques my interest. No one got robbed on this card. No one got robbed. There's a couple split decisions, so maybe some people might feel a certain way about that, but we'll get to that in a second. No one got robbed. We just go straight to the honorable mentions. First honorable mention, Bahamondes versus Ogden. Okay, I had this 30-27 Bahamondes. Simple. First round, Bahamondes outstruck Ogden. Second round, he outstruck Ogden. Third round, he outstruck Ogden. It's pretty flippin' clear. You get to the scorecards. Okay, you get to the scorecards, and Troy Winkapaw had a 30-27. Saul D'Amato had a 30-27. And then Derek Cleary had a 29-28. He gave the second round to Ogden. Honorable mention of Derek Cleary. That's nonsense. That's really stupid. He got outstruck in all three rounds. It's pretty simple. There seems to be this thing now where if someone isn't striking in the first round at all, and then the second round they just show a little bit of activity, just a little bit of activity, it means they won the round. It's nonsense. They did the same thing in the Cheeto fight, where Cheeto showed more activity than he showed in the first two rounds, and then he started to show a little more in the third, the fourth, and the fifth, and that's where you get two judges giving him the third round, which is nonsense, and then one judge giving him the fifth round, all because he's showing a little bit more activity, but he's still getting outstruck. Honorable mention there to Derek Cleary. You go to the second honorable mention here, split decision, Calvillo versus Godinez. I had this 29-28 Godinez. I gave Godinez the first two rounds. Last round I gave to Calvillo. This fight was very interesting, and I'll read the description and then we'll talk about it. In the first round, Calvillo had a takedown, but was outstruck by Godinez by a pretty large margin. She got the takedown, and then Godinez got straight back up. So she really did nothing with the takedown, and she got outstruck on the feet. So Godinez wins that round. You go to the second round, Godinez outstruck Calvillo. And in that round, it was really interesting because Calvillo just kept throwing shots and none of them were landing. This seems to be a thing now where this was always a thing, but where someone is just throwing and not landing, but a lot, to where you're watching and you're like, oh, okay, Godinez is landing. Godinez is landing. Godinez is landing. Calvillo's landing. Calvillo's missing. She's missing. Godinez lands. Calvillo's missing. She's missing. Oh, she landed. Oh, she's missing. So there's a lot of like, a word that was used tonight on the card was optics, and I don't like that word because it's to say that the judges kind of don't know what they're looking at, even though this is what the show is technically about. But regardless of the point, they say optics, to make it look like you're striking when I think judges are, based off the split decision, I think they're a little more equipped to understand that, hey, you at least have to be touching your opponent in some sort of capacity, and Cynthia Calvillo was missing the mark. I don't even want to say missing the mark. That's not even the right term, because while those count as missed strikes, there's times I feel like, the person who's counting the stats in the back, a feint technically counts as a missed shot. Calvillo was just wiggling her arms out there, and she missed a lot of shots, and she definitely lost that second round. You go to the third round, Calvillo definitely outstruck Godinez. That's clear as day. She definitely outstruck Godinez, and she was finally actually touching Godinez a little more. Again, it was a little closer on the strikes, but Calvillo was moving up a little closer. I think if she had acted the way she acted in the second, she probably could have came away with this victory. But she didn't. It was a split decision. You go to the judges' scorecards. Eric Colon had it 29-28 to Calvillo. He gave the last two rounds to Calvillo. Honorable mention to him. I disagree with that scorecard. He gives us a second round to Calvillo. That's nonsense. She literally just threw her hands there a bunch of times. Alicio Rodriguez had it 29-28 for Godinez. His scorecard reflects mine. And then David Torelli, he had it 30-27. Honorable mention to him. I disagree with that third round. I understand why he gives it to Lupi, because it was a very close round. But in this round, it's clear that Calvillo was actually touching up Godinez. So honorable mention to him as well. Next honorable mention is another split decision. Waterson-Gomez versus Pinheiro. I had this 29-28 for Pinheiro. The first two rounds go to Pinheiro clear. Okay? This is the first fight in a while that Waterson looked decent. Looked really good, Not her looks. I'm talking fighting-wise. She looked active. She was actually going forward. Granted, maybe this is because she's fighting someone who is willing to not. I don't know how to really analyze it, because I can't say, oh, it's because it's a shorter fighter because she fought at Spars and she didn't fight like that. I can't say she wasn't active, because essentially when she fought Amanda Lemos, so Lemos fights kind of like Pinheiro, except I guess she's a little more she's a little less fidgety than Pinheiro was. I don't really know how to analyze why she just was more active, but she was a lot more active, and I can see how you can get a split decision here. Now, I still think the decision's wrong of the other person's scorecard, but I can see how a person can get mixed up here. First two rounds I gave to Pinheiro. The very first round, okay, Waterson outstruck Pinheiro. She was outstriking her by like a few strikes, and then she gets dropped, ? The camera angle for me, and they didn't show a replay because I'm watching on ESPN. I'm watching on ESPN Plus. I'm not watching on Fight Pass. So I don't know if on Fight Pass they show a replay, but regardless of that, she gets dropped. Maybe. She's getting outstruck and then she gets dropped. The camera angle the camera that's behind Waterson, the camera continues to follow her, and it just shows the cage, and it doesn't show the camera angle behind Pinheiro, which would show the drop. And so I just have to assume that's a drop. She's outstriking Pinheiro by a little bit of a margin, and then boom, she gets dropped. The round belongs to Pinheiro. You go to the second round, okay, and then Pinheiro's just outstriking Waterson. It's clear as day she's outstriking Waterson. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And then you go to the third round where Waterson kind of barely outstrikes Pinheiro, and then also gets a takedown it's clearly Waterson's round, and then that's what happens. You go to the judges' scorecards. Alicia Rodriguez, his scorecard reflects mine. Christopher Lee, his scorecard reflects mine. And then Eric Colon. Eric Colon has been off tonight. I mean, it's bad. It's disgusting what he put in. And we'll get to, like, you know, one thing that I realized got overshadowed, because before I even started recording this, I was searching to see if anyone noticed this. And maybe some parts of MMA Twitter or MMA Instagram probably caught this. We'll talk about it later. But 29-28 he gives to Waterson. He gives the second round to Waterson. That is already nonsense. He gives the last round to Waterson. That's obviously her round. Gives the second round to Waterson. Nonsense. She gets outstruck in that round. There's no way to, like, lie to yourself or argue it in any other direction. Honorable mention Eric Colon. That's just terrible. It's bad. We go to the next honorable mention, a fight that I thought when they were reading the scorecard they were gonna say split decision, but I'm glad they didn't. They got it correct. This one is Curtis versus Gastelum. At this 29-28 Gastelum, 10-9 in the first two rounds. Last round, obviously you give to Curtis. You give to Curtis. In my head, watching it, I was like, the last one was kind of close, but I hate to say this, but you felt as though Curtis outstruck Gastelum in that last round, so that's why I gave him Curtis the last round. In that first round, Gastelum outstrikes Curtis, right? Curtis does this thing where he covers up a lot, and then he tries to counter. Gastelum is just outstriking him. Yes, he's getting tagged a little bit, but he's outstriking him well. And then you go to the second round where the same thing happens. Gastelum is still outstriking Curtis. Curtis is kind of coming on, but he outstrikes Curtis. There's like a headbutt is what the commentary says. Again, it's on the prelims. It's on ESPN Plus. They don't show the replay, so I don't know if it's an actual drop. But it looks like a drop in the fight, so it counts as a drop. He drops him. They say it's a headbutt. I'm going to believe them. They say it's a headbutt, but from a scoring perspective, he gets dropped. And then Gastelum lands the ground and pound. And he outstrikes him on the feet as well. So the second round belongs to him. Third round, Curtis outstrikes Gastelum. There's your story. You go to the judges' scorecards. Eric Colon finally redeems himself. Has 29-28 for Gastelum. Derek Cleary, same thing, 29-28. And then Michael Tate has a 30-27 to Gastelum. Honorable mention to him, the third round should belong to Curtis. Boom. You go to the next honorable mention. Before I even get to the next honorable mention, Rosas Jr. versus Rodriguez. Really fun fight. Quick commentary on it. Rosas Jr. I like, but I'm noticing this wave, and this is something that I've always held internally, is when I watch MMA, there's always the quintessential wrestling is the best thing to have in MMA, and while maybe that might be true to some point, it's not true in the sense that if you depend on it a lot, if you depend on one-dimensional thing, you're going to be got. At a certain point, you're going to be got. And I don't think it's a cardio thing for Rosas. I think more or less it's eventually people like him, people like Merab, people like Bo Nickel, and the list can go on and on and on and on and on, will eventually meet their day where someone will nullify that. Someone will nullify the takedown defense. Someone will nullify the takedown offense, and will just present themselves in. Now, granted, you could argue that, hey, if he had better cardio, maybe he wins 2 rounds and then he loses the third. Whatever, that's fine. But he gasses out in the first, and then proceeds to drop the last 2. This is something that needs to be addressed. They always talk about this, especially in women's fights where women, and granted the technique isn't there a lot of the times when they're going for takedowns, but the point still stands when they always say, hey, she shot really bad on that takedown. I can't remember the fight it was. I think it was the Pinheiro fight, actually. I think it was when if I look at my notes again, if I look at my notes again, yeah, Pinheiro got it was Pinheiro. Pinheiro had a takedown against Waterson where she just like put her body in an L shape and then drove into Waterson. And most people would go, that's disgusting. Now, she got the takedown. But regardless of the point, it's bad. She didn't even set it up. And it's stuff like that where we go, they need to set it up. Even in the Meerschaert versus Yan fight, I don't even think Meerschaert set it up. I maybe didn't like the way he set it up, but he set it up still. Rosas just dove at him. Bo Nickel, when he fought against Jamie Pickett. When he fought against Jamie Pickett, the same thing happened where he just was like, fuck it, not standing with you, dove. And I understand it because Jamie Pickett's kind of long. But if you watch Jamie Pickett fights, respectfully, you could probably strike against him. I think Bo Nickel could actually strike against him, but for some weird reason, he just decided, fuck it. Like, even in his Contender Series fight, when Bo Nickel fought against the last guy before he got his full UFC contract, that guy, I want to say his reach was longer. I'm just guessing. He set that up. I watched it live. He set it up. In this fight, in these two fights, it just reminds me of these next level grapplers. I don't even want to call them next level. These overzealous wrestlers really want to wrestle, and it just shows that they don't want to strike, or they can't strike yet, and that's something that is a concern going forward, obviously. Next honorable mention, Burns versus Masvidal. Guys, this is a 30-27. This is a clear 30-27. 30-27, Burns, 10-9 in all three rounds. Come on. First round, close on strikes. It's actually pretty even on strikes. And then Burns gets the takedown. And then they just both start hitting each other. It's Burns' round. Clear as day. Second round, Burns has two takedowns with some ground and pound. Masvidal's kind of active on the bottom, but it's nothing to turn the round around in any shape or form. And then the third round, Burns has a takedown with a lot better ground and pound than he had in the second round. And he outstruck Masvidal on the feet. Boom. 30-27. You go to the judges' scorecards where someone just wants to be ridiculous. David Torelli has a 30-27 Burns. Christopher Lee has a 30-27 Masvidal. And then Eric Colon wants to be cute and decide, hey, it's close on the feet. Your guy got taken. I say your guy because this is a free round he gave just to be cute for some weird reason. We could have gotten a split decision if Masvidal had won a legit round, a legit second and third round. Honorable mention to Eric Colon for just a shitty night, a really shitty night. He gives the first round to Masvidal. Stupid. It's stupid. I don't care. I'm tired of this thing where the commentary, and I like the commentary. This isn't an anti-commentary thing. But when I hear the commentary go, it's really close. It's really close. No. They were even on strikes. Burns got the takedown. We know how to score fights well. Okay? He got the takedown. And then the round ends. And then they're both hitting each other profusely. You know who the round belongs to. But Colon, I don't know how on God's green earth you're gonna sit there and argue it, like, hey, they were even on strikes. He got taken down, but remember those punches that Masvidal was throwing, like really quickly? And then someone should probably go, hey, remember when like Burns took a breath and then decided to drop elbows on him, and then the round ended? Like, come on, what are we doing here? Nonsense. Honorable mention to Eric Colon for the entire fucking night. Then you have, I think, I want to be careful with the way I say this, but the last honorable mention, Pereira versus Adesanya. I had this 10-9 Pereira in the first round, and then Adesanya had the knockout in the second round. This is on par. This happens occasionally where for some reason they just score these wrong. I remember I think it was Kim versus Cachoeira, I think, where all three judges unanimously gave it to the wrong fighter. This happens occasionally because God works in mysterious ways. Why not? And I looked at the scorecard. I was just scrolling through the scorecard, and I'm still don't know whether this is a typo, but Derek Cleary gives it 10-9 to Adesanya in the first. Saudi Amata gives it 10-9 to Adesanya in the first. Christopher Lee gives it 10-9 to Adesanya in the first. Now, I don't know what the fuck you saw, and I don't know what the fuck I saw, but I saw Pereira outstrike Adesanya. He outstruck him. All those, I don't know if they confused all those weird, like, collides with punches, but he outstruck him. And yet all three judges gave the first to Adesanya. Nonsense. Imagine if this fight got any closer. Granted, and before the knockout, Pereira was outstriking Adesanya. So in my head, I wonder how they would have fucking scored that. I think they would have scored that correctly, but I don't know. They just scored the first round wrong. All three scored the first round wrong. It's insane to me. And I don't think this will get coverage because it's ended in a KO. But I promise you, on God's green earth, and I read a headline. I didn't watch the video. I'll watch the video probably tomorrow. But I read the headline that said Adesanya versus Pereira 3 probably won't be immediately in the works. But let's just explore here for a second. If this fight would have went the distance, we would have been talking about how all three judges fucking saw the first round for Adesanya instead of Pereira. Like, let's say this, they tie it up, right? Pereira wins the second. All three scorecards. Adesanya wins the third. Pereira wins the fourth. Adesanya wins the fifth, and we're going, and everyone at home is like, oh, okay, this is 48-47 Pereira. We can go to sleep now. We would get a what the fuck, and then we'd get the obligatory fans and everyone's comments that go, the first round's close. The first round's close. When it's not. It's shit like this that pisses me off. It's shit like this where I watch and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be great. And then we get bullshit like that. He outstruck him well in that first round. There's no close on strike. There's none of that. There's no, this is a close round. I know they're kickboxing, but we know how to score kickboxing fights. The fuck are we talking about? Ponzinibbio and Holland had that. Holland outstruck Ponzinibbio in the second round, and it was that was kind of close on strikes, and they still got that correct. How the fuck could they get that correct? Is there anything else? Is there anything? Masvidal Burns round one, also kind of close on strikes. They got that one correct. Like, Bahamondes Ogden second round, third round maybe. Second round's a closer round. Come on, like I'm still looking here. Guys, what the Waterson Pinheiro round one. Like, these are close kickboxing rounds, and we have the right scorecard for all these other fighters. Then we get to the main event, the one where your eyes should be locked in, and Pereira outstrikes him, and all three judges give it to Adesanya. It's goofiness. It's fucking goofiness. And no one's going to care because, again, like I said at the top of the video, it's a great night. It was a great card. It was fun. Adesanya won in a knockout, got his title back. Burns won. That's cool. Rob Font gets a win against Yanez. And I mean, everyone's probably thinking Yanez was going to milk him. No. Holland gets a win. We like when Holland gets a win because it's just cool, right? It's nice. I wish he called someone else out because he probably knew Masvidal was going to retire. But anyways, like, Rosas loses, but, you know, we kind of wanted on the one kind of, but he loses. So it's a little WWE-esque in the sense that you're like, okay, Rosas is going to win. Oh, shit, he just lost? Oh, man, Holland's got to win this. Holland wins. Font versus Yanez. Yanez is the favorite. Font wins. Burns is going to win. We know this. Masvidal retires. Izzy gets his belt back. Gastelum comes back. Gastelum is back in form. Godinez looked good. I think Godinez got robbed low key in the Hill fight. I hate how they talk about the Hill fight. I mean, you look at this card, Garcia with probably there should be bonuses all around. I haven't seen who got the bonuses, but there should be bonuses all around. If I had to give a bonus, I'm going to give my own bonus. Garcia with the spectacular comeback. That's my 50K. Pyfer, Meerschaert, probably not. You go down to Gastelum performance bonus. I know that, 29, 28s don't usually get those, but performance bonus. Rodriguez, he's a big underdog, expected to lose. Boom, bonus. Holland with the KO on Ponzinibbio. Nice KO. I know Ponzinibbio gets up and wags his finger, but fuck, he got knocked out. Rob Font, 30K, 50K, 20K, all the Ks, man. All the Ks. Scherzer Ks, man. And then, but no, and then Adesanya gets, I mean, he makes some shit on of money anyways, but still, like, he gets a bonus too. Like, this fight night was great, and it could have been fought by some goofy ass scorecards that probably no one will ever see because it's a happy night and we all go to bed. But that's all I have. That's all I'm whining about. That's all I got. That's it. We wait till next week for a Kansas banger between Holloway versus Allen. That's all I have. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you're listening to this. That would greatly help. I could actually make money off this instead of just talking into the wind. But even if I don't, it's whatever. It's fine. Thank you for listening, and God bless.